we desperately wanted exposure, mentorship, and all that. And I think once a couple of us found us at TexSom, it was just like holding the back door open and letting them all in. And that was kind of like part of your education. We had to make it work for ourselves, and we always appreciated it. Realized that a lot of people took us under their wing at some point. So we like to do that too.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, 2 of you guys are master sommeliers, and the rest of y'all are all at the advanced level. Mm-hmm. So it's worked out.
Ciao, y'all. I'm Jessica Dupuy, guest host for a special TexSom series covering the 2024 TexSom Wine Conference from Dallas, Texas. Join me in the heart of the Lone Star State as we delve into the experiences and insights of key speakers and attendees, exploring career paths, challenges, and the latest trends in the wine industry. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate our show wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. Well, welcome, Matt Dulle. I am excited to have you here on the Italian Wine Podcast.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for sitting with me yet again. It's been a number of years that we've found ourselves at TexSom together.
Yes. Yeah, it's becoming a theme here.
It's becoming a theme. Exactly. Tell me a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and kind of your wine journey. How did you get into the industry?
Sure. Well, currently I'm the wine director at Spago, Beverly Hills. I live in LA, which is still weird to say. From St. Louis originally. I've spent time in Chicago, DC, San Francisco, Sonoma, and have been in restaurants for over a quarter of a century now.
Yes.
I started when I was young and always kind of loved it. All my love of wine kind of grew out of a love for hospitality, and it was just a way to kind of give further hospitality. And then I just kind of got hooked. And here I am. Yeah.
Well, I have to mention, we were talking about you earlier in a different episode of the podcast. I spoke to Alicia Blackwell-Calvert, and she's also from St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And I think it's worth mentioning, there's kind of a contingent of St. Louis sommeliers. Mm-hmm. So kind of talk about that. You guys have all kind of mentored each other, and everyone's in different places now.
Yeah. I mean, it was Brandon Kern, Andre Evanoff, Patrick Olds, Alicia, Patricia Wamhoff, myself, just people all over. And it's been cool to see what everyone's done.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the magic sauce was, but other than I think we genuinely cared about each other succeeding,
Yeah.
And I think there was a good blend of being competitive with each other, but also cheering for each other's victories.
Yeah.
And I think and also holding people accountable. When we would do tasting groups, it wasn't, I think we got rid of a lot of ego and just like, great, break it down for me. Tell me what I need to do to get better. Not, that instead of saying, oh, that's not a classic wine, or, complaining about the rules of the game or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it was just a lot of that, just earnest ambition.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of helped each other, and
it came through. Well, I mean, the reason I ask is because, I've been involved with TexSom for a long time. And one of the things that I was helping to do early on is mentor people through the editing and writing process when they were part of summer camp. So like, working somms, coming through and getting education and working as a volunteer behind the scenes for TexSom. So at one point you were one of those summer campers. And I feel like it was not far after that where it was just one after the other coming through from St. Louis. It was Andre, it was Patrick Olds. And so this is not all about St. Louis, but what it is about is that you guys found a way you were like, something about TexSom is helping us achieve these goals. Mm-hmm. And so you would encourage each other to apply and come and be part of that group.
I think it does have to do with St. Louis is size as a market,
right?
Like we didn't necessarily have all the opportunities. I mean,
you're not New York.
We didn't have any masters. In fact, we had to drive. We did day trips to and from Kansas City to taste with Doug Frost.
Really?
And so like we desperately wanted exposure, mentorship, and all that. And I think once a couple of us found us at TexSom, it was just like holding the back door open and letting them all in. And that was kind of like, that was part of your education. We had to make it work for ourselves, and we always appreciated it. Realized that a lot of people took us under their wing at some point. So we like to do that too.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, and if you think about it, 2 of you guys are master sommeliers, and the rest of y'all are all at the advanced level. Mm-hmm. So it's worked out pretty well.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want you to be too bashful about some of your career, because it's been pretty impressive. Some of the restaurants that you've been able to work at, and also on the winery side. So maybe give us a little brushing. Before you got to Spago, where were you?
So after I moved from St. Louis, I did spend a little time early on in Chicago working for Let Us Entertain You, which I think was a great experience, just because I think that's some of the best training you'll ever find. But when I moved out to California, that's when I think things started to kind of kick into higher gear. Wound up helping open Single Thread, which is now a top 100, top 50 restaurant in the world, 3 Michelin star. And just there's so much exposure to wines in California, especially when you're deep in wine country.
Yeah.
And then, frankly, that was kind of a dream job. And there's only one job in the country that I probably would have taken that could have lured me away. And it just so happened that I got that, which was running the beverage program at Lazy Bear.
Yeah.
Which was
in San Francisco. Also a top restaurant.
Yeah, 2 Michelin star, dinner party style. And it kind of let me build the dream program. It was like a little over 100 selections when I started, and kind of made a case for why I think we need to go for it. And we did. I think my first year we were at like 14 or 1,500 selections, and it's only grown from there. Now I just got the grand award for the first year.
Yeah.
So, which in a year before that, Single Thread got one too.
Yeah.
And now I'm at one that Spago, which has had one for a while, for just got our 15th.
Okay, well, you got to hold on to it. So, I mean, you're still in the game. But I think, the Lazy Bear example is also a good one because it's every single one of the maybe not every single, but a lot of the Somm team that you ended up working with were kind of like recruits also from TexSom. You brought some Texans out there, like
absolutely
Chris McFall and
Jacob Brown.
Jacob
went from a fresh-faced little punk to, now he's running
with a little
2 Michelin
mustache.
star. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got to talk about that. 2 Michelin star grand award.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. In fact, there's sort of a talk at the beginning of every TexSom where we say,
who we getting?
Yeah, well, it's actually part of the welcome speech. Just, you never know who's watching you. So like, it's not necessarily that it's like an audition or anything, but like people do notice when you work hard. And like, if you want to, move to a new city or you are looking for a job, like these connections are great. I mean, I've probably hired 40% of the Somms that I've had from TexSom or have had some connection. And frankly, having bounced around the country as much as I have, I was only able to do that without taking steps back because of my connection to TexSom. I mean, I don't think there's anything that has had a greater impact, not only my career, but also just my lifestyle and, group of lifelong friends and all that stuff. I mean, it really is like, we jokingly call it summer camp just because it fits the pun well, but it's kind of like that. Like some people you only see once a year, but they're your best friends right away. And like, they would do anything for you. And it's a unique feel. If anyone who went to summer camp as a kid, a sleepaway camp knows this feel, and it's and I was that too.
It's exactly that. No, I think it's so funny because we used to joke like, that Christmas song, like it's the most wonderful time.
Exactly.
I feel like that's TexSom, because you have that feeling of seeing people. The reason I really wanted to talk to you though is because something you told me a long time ago was, you're now an adult in your career in terms of you've really made it, man. But I think one of the things
I don't think I told you that, so I hope.
No, I'm officially letting you know. Like, I don't know if your parents have told you, but you're doing good. So we're proud of you, Matt. But I love that at one point you said to me, TexSom is all about giving back. It's not about just promoting people through and helping them get to where they want to go one day or don't even know that they want to go there. But it's also about what are you putting back in? Mm-hmm. And that's something you've done for a long time now. So you were a summer camper, but in the past few years, you've turned around and you're helping to run the volunteer program for summer camp. So kind of tell me how that happened. What do you do now other than just stay up really late and polish a bunch of classes?
Well, first of all, I will say it's been a little bit different this year because I wasn't here for the full week like I was. So there's been other people who have been kind of trying to
That's right.
come
People
up and
come
take
like
over, which
5 days before the actual conference
like it's usually
starts.
8 days for me.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh.
it's a lot, and it's the hardest week of my year. But I always say it's not relaxing, but it's refreshing for all the reasons we talk about.
Yeah.
But I do go wind up.
Yeah.
Just going home. Absolutely spent. So, but this year I could only make, Sunday through Wednesday work, but we've had so many great people. I mean, now the new version of the St. Louis contingent is the Mississippi delegation.
Mississippi's going strong.
They're all over. Yeah. And they're killing it. It's like, I knew that Chuck Nix and Tiffany Bobs and all that were going to come in and, be able to rock it. Caitlin, Caitlin Ball's doing really well with it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of so happened that, the people who were kind of running it when I was getting into it had lives, scheduling conflicts here and there.
It was time to move on.
And, it was basically like June Rodil and David Keck. And then they moved on. And then Kat and I kind of took over those two roles.
Yes.
We always joke that I managed the people and she managed everything else.
Totally.
Which is great.
It's totally true.
Which is what she wanted and frankly what I wanted anyway.
Yeah.
It was actually a really great team. I long for the chance to work with her again in some form of capacity. Maybe that isn't just so draining, but so I mean, it was kind of amazing to be able to do that because if you think about it, we've had at some point over 200 volunteers, and these are all, very sharp somms, restaurant professionals, wine directors, frankly, people who do what you do. So that, to me, like that was always a very strong motivation to really do well, because one, I know if I'm looking at how people are working, I know people are doing the same with me. And I'm sure there were a lot of people who thought like, oh, I can do it better than that, you know, because I don't know, we're all that way. We're all a little type A in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it was intimidating, but also like a great challenge, you know?
Yeah. Break it down. Like what are volunteers doing? Let's start at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. When are people probably getting up, and what are they doing when they make it to the conference center?
I think we've normalized it a little more just with some systems. But I mean, I think now, you know, lead teams probably get into breakfast either at 7 or a little before, doing announcements, getting ready for like the welcome toast, things like that, making sure that everything we need to that wasn't done the night before gets done and set, so we're not scrambling and pulling volunteers, because that just has a domino effect. So there's a few different roles you can get into. There's managing the rooms, which is where I started and I loved, because it was kind of like service, but also you get to try a bunch of great things. I mean, first room I was in, we did, you know, was the vertical of Chapelet back to the mid 70s, and like,
are you kidding?
And Grand Cru Burgundy from the 90s. Like I just happened to look into the great
which
room.
Means for that you're like opening the wines, making sure they're sound.
And also creating systems, because when you have a lot of hands and a lot of people, like you've never worked with these people before. So it's, you know, there's a lot of things like, okay, well, we're opening these 5 to 6 bottles of this. One person needs to taste through those so they can know where there's variation. We did it with Georgian wines, and like you have to, like they're all kind of wacky. So
So you're like, what's the standard here? Yeah, exactly.
And just like getting a system. I remember one year we missed a few seats, and I said never again on a few wines. So now we snake through. We get like line up with wines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we walk through and we just snake through the. I almost said the dining room because it feels that much like service. And like just hit everything, and the first person sets the pour level, and that's how we don't run out, because we run pretty lean sometimes on some of the wines. There's that. There's you know, like behind the scenes stuff, polishing just a ton of glasses, emptying spit buckets, you know, just all that stuff. And then there is the setting up the wine room, which is probably one of the most beneficial things that I've done, because
what is the wine room?
So the wine room is basically where we keep the inventory.
Basically gigantic ballroom. With tables full of wine. Full of wine,
very specific. And some of them very specific bottlings for this, or maybe they need it, you know, for several different things. They're sending in, you know, suppliers are like Southern Glazers or RNDC. They're sending in a bunch of mixed cases, and we have to make sense of it. The way I always put it, I know maybe I got this from James, is we are essentially intaking, processing, and storing and then serving the equivalent of a grand award list in a matter of like 4 days.
I'm letting that sink in, because I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's the world's top wines coming through here.
Yes.
And some back vintage, like serious library wines, all of that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get
I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
That's weighty.
And it also made me really comfortable to jump into some of these larger programs that I was able to work with.
Yes.
Because that's a big undertaking.
Exactly.
And like, I think one of the best things you can learn is sort of how the dominoes fall and see things a few moves ahead. And sometimes when you're putting together your own program, you don't start to see the effect of some errors or missteps until months out, things like that. But this all happens within 4 days. So like, you know, right away, it's like, oh, I didn't do that right. And now this is happening. And like, you just learn very, very quickly what to do and what not to do. And sort of the impact of every little action, and how I can speed up a step here, or, you know, shave off a few seconds here. You know, it's, honestly, I don't know if I can even express fully all the impacts it has. There are times when I just noticed that I was like, oh, that's where I learned to do that at TexSom.
At TexSom.
And I'm still having that happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy, but it's a lot of wine to intake. And there are a lot of things that you don't see all over the world, or, you know, back then it was Greek wines, which was, you know, a little more rare at the time. Now it's, you know, we're getting Georgian wines. We're getting stuff from all over the world, sakes, things like that. That's just, you know, one of the ways I got into sake, a lot of things.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm curious if you could tell me a little bit about, you know, once you guys are finished, like the end of the day, you've set the tables, you've kind of gone through these seminars, like how does it end?
Sorry, I've been talking all day too.
Yeah, no, please drink.
How does it end? I mean, we end with a sort of where everyone comes together is like it's a polishing party. I mean, you've never polished more glasses in your life. I mean, it's been, you know, tens of thousands of glasses. but it's fun because like once you get the mechanics down, you're just hanging out. Like we're listening to music, we're talking, meeting new people. I always described it as side work with people you like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because like not a lot of places have multiple sommeliers on staff. So where else are you going to be able to work with other sommeliers and share ideas or learn new things or hear new perspectives or like hear someone else's take on it? Like it just doesn't happen, at least not in a way where you're actually working with these people in practical ways. But there's also just the camaraderie, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like it's just a good.
What else do you think it's helped you with in terms of straight education, you know, whether it's service or management of people?
Absolutely management of people. I feel like this is such a quick period that there's sometimes when you need to be hard on people in your normal job, but like there's time for them to figure out that you care, you know, like that doesn't happen here. So it's a mix of diplomacy. It's also free labor, by the way. Like these are all volunteers.
That's true.
So like there has to be a amount of respect for that. I mean, I am too as well. I get it, but just to have the respect to do that while also trying to be productive and say like, we've got to get going. You know, it's like, it's taught me that there is a way to be professional, efficient, spur things to get things done without hurting people's feelings. That comes into play all the time now. I mean, it's just, to me, you have to be black and white. Like this is what we have to do. I'm so black and white that like there's no emotion involved and it's nothing personal. It's like, this is what has to happen. It has to happen now. It kind of leads to that yes chef mentality.
Yes.
You know, which I think is increasingly harder in our industry now to have. I think everyone just has their own way of doing things, or there's always, there's always a response of some way, like, oh, how about we do it this way? It's like, how about we're in the middle of service and we do it the way I just asked you, and we can talk later.
Let's have a meeting about it later.
Exactly. Yeah.
Next time.
Maybe don't do this one because I don't want my staff to hear this now.
Exactly. Well,
I can hear them rolling their eyes.
Exactly.
All the way back in LA.
But it's an interesting. I don't want to forget the part that you mentioned here, which is that we are all volunteers, and by that, you're not being paid for this. So when you're a volunteer for TexSom and manager of the volunteers, you're a volunteer, and so that means people are taking anywhere from 8, 5, 3, however many days they choose to come, but usually at least 5, right?
Usually, if they're salaried, it's the expensive vacation days, or if they're not, it's just that's cutting into days they can be working.
Yeah, so time off work, time usually not paid, and yet every year the volunteer pool fills up with applicants, and there's usually a waiting list. The only reason I like to say that is because it really does show the weight of what someone takes away from the experience, that you're willing to you're giving up a lot, a paycheck, if you will,
Absolutely.
And so I think that that's pretty profound in terms of the impact that the conference has had. Yeah.
And I think one of the things I think the volunteers actually get the best experience because you kind of get all the cool stuff. I mean, not only do you get education and camaraderie, but like we do toasts in the morning and like we've done some really cool stuff. I remember Bernie's son with Tattinger one year, we were the first people in the country to taste the 07 Comte de Champagne. And they're like little things like that. They're just like little perks to appreciate that. I mean, it's not just like you're here, we're getting this experience, you're going to meet people. It's like there's a very strong effort to make this not only a worthwhile, but a very exciting, memorable, unique experience. And I think that's huge. It almost to the point where we don't talk about it anymore because it's just like, that's what's going to happen.
Here we are.
And we do the polishing parties. And I always tell people that if you can get that sponsor slot, it's the best money you'll spend because you're basically talking to people who are on the floor,
buying
the restaurant,
wine.
buying the wines. I mean, it's your greatest impact. In fact, when I was with Reese, I was angling so hard to try to get one of those slots. Yeah. And there's a waiting list. There's people who are not letting go of that because it's just so good.
It's so good. And I think that's a really good point. Like it is great when your wine gets poured at a seminar, but those wines are selected more on an editorial basis. They can't be paid for or bought to be poured at a seminar.
I want to actually, I think I explain this to people all the time. Yes, there are sponsors, but the fact that there's no way for some big company to put their products in maintains all the integrity. And the byproduct of that actually is what led to this because you had to find other sponsorship opportunities. So doing a Somm Lounge, doing the polishing party, those would have never happened if they were just getting dollars like every other conference was.
Exactly.
So I don't know if it was intentional, but that's the byproduct. And that is what's weirdly led to this becoming such a great
Yeah.
experience.
Well, and it becomes that whole like, oh, is so-and-so going to sponsor the midnight DJ session with, what, like you said, Saturday or
Yeah.
whatever it's going to be. And I think that that's, the integrity of the actual seminars, though, gets maintained because you're hearing from speakers who don't work for any of the wineries or things like that. Like it's very separate, which I think, gives you the right information, gives you the good information. Let's kind of transition a little bit away from TexSom because, again, so much of the conference has been able to influence your career. You've been at Spago now for a little over a year.
Yeah, about 15 months, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And after having worked at some pretty dynamic wine programs prior to that, what is kind of your goal when you come into an established, very well-regarded restaurant like that? Restaurant group, really, because it's very large. What's your job now?
Well, there was a lot of, I think Spago's been around for 42 years now. So there's a lot of, it's such a fast-paced restaurant. It's such a high volume that inevitably there's going to be things that just need sprucing up. It's not an easy thing to do because there's more exciting things to do all the time. So, my first year was, running through some maybe old inventory that didn't need to be there, or I literally tore down and rebuilt by hand every single storage rack. I'm now redesigning the menu, which like I did at Lazy Bear.
Yeah.
So it's just all that stuff, building a great team. So it's always something. I also, with my background, having been in service before it was in wine, I can't not ever be a part of that. I just need to, to me, wine service is part of all of service, and it has to be holistic. Like my somms are, I try to get them to be able to do any job on the floor and also like know when to help out and read a table and not just, I think it happens a lot. And like in restaurants that have somms, there are some that just kind of just do the wine thing. And that's all. It's their own little world. I will never let that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's building, I hate to say like putting my stamp on the program or making it mine. It's more just getting to what my vision is, which it's kind of always been the same. And I'll use a line that I think came up in Lazy Bear's Grand Award, and which was wound up being what I set out to do then. And of course, Andre and Jacob have taken and run with to spectacular degrees, which is every bottle's a story. A great wine list, it's cool to have, but when I go in for dinner, I don't really care about how many wines you have, how many verticals, because at the end of the day, I'm going to have one, maybe two bottles, and each of those needs to be their own story and experience. Yeah. So, and I don't think it's always seen that way. Yeah. Just like we have this program and, we got to fill this, $100 bottle of Napa Cab or whatever it is. Like there's a good version of everything. Yeah. And if you're not finding it, I don't think you're doing your job. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's easy to phone things in and say, well, okay, I just need that and that's it. Or, wheel and deal and let your supplier do them a favor, which don't get me wrong. We need to work with our distributors and like they are absolutely partners, but there's a way to take care of them without compromising.
I'm just curious in terms of the size, like, so for Spago Beverly Hills, what is the bottle count? How many wines are you working with? And is there a particular lean? You're in LA, so it's diverse in terms of what the food scene is like and things like that. But do y'all lean more towards a certain area in terms of the regions of wine that you're serving? And because you're not like an Italian restaurant, you're not a steak restaurant,
Yeah. At the end of the day, like the cuisine at Spago would be described as things that make people happy. And I will say, I don't think I've seen a restaurant that pulls off doing so many different styles of cuisine all in one. And it's not like, they're not reaching or they're not dumbing one down.
Which is a tribute to Wolfgang Puck, like having kind of that vision.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think makes it exciting because there aren't flavors, just like a set of flavors I have to match with. There's always going to be a new flavor somewhere.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I think there are strengths for sure, like, Burgundy, Bordeaux, Italy, California, which I think used to be more California Cab. And as I've done in the past, like I like fleshing that out quite a bit. But I also think that there should be a way to represent every region in the world in an exciting way. Yeah. And frankly, if I'm not able to do that, then I make myself do that and I wind up falling in love with something. And, that winds up getting all the love that, So I'd like to not have a focus. I'd like it to be good in certain areas. I'd like for somebody who just likes Bordeaux or just likes Burgundy, if they just took those pages out of the menu, that they would have a spectacular experience. And also like maybe they like Greek wines, maybe they like Hungarian, maybe it's New World Sauvignon Blanc or New World Chardonnay. And like, I want everyone should be able to find any version of anything they want.
Yeah. So they can discover, or they can go for what they love.
Yeah.
So they can be happy.
Exactly. You can be happy. It really is that simple.
It.
And I mean, it built an empire, like I was
really
always a Danny Meyer fan being from St. Louis. And when I was kind of getting into Spago and reading around, I realized, oh man, like Wolfgang kind of started this and Danny got it from him.
Exactly. Yeah.
In fact, I heard there was a really cool thing that happened the other day. Dan Barber,
yes,
Blue Hill.
Yeah. Out of New York.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Came in, one of the great chefs of the world, great restaurants of the world, came in to just do a video of making the famous salmon pizza that we have. And I was kind of confused because he's never worked there. And after he filmed it, he popped into our pre-shift meeting and just kind of like, I got to talk to you guys for a minute. I never worked here, but 30 years ago, he had come in and sat at a table, had some of the classic dishes and watched the kitchen go. And he said, that's the day I decided to become a chef.
No.
Never worked for Wolfgang once, but he's like, that, watching it, having that feel, having just like that happy food. And also he kind of hammered home the point that Wolfgang was really the first to feature farmers.
Which
doesn't ever get credit for.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he was always featuring farmers, and it wasn't like he was like making a stance about it. He just did it, and
because it felt natural to him.
Exactly. It was a religious thing. It was pretty cool to have a chef like that come in and be like, you guys need to appreciate this because I literally just had dinner here one night and decided to become one of the greatest chefs in the world.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of crazy, right?
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that story. That I kind of want to go back to Spago.
Yeah. I want you to come back to Spago.
I know. I'm coming. I'm coming to see you. Well, Matt, thank you so much for sitting down with us for a little while and telling us, a little bit of your background with TexSom and also what you're doing in the real world beyond TexSom.
Yeah, this is the real world.
Yeah, this is not real world.
You could make a case that most of our wine programs are not the real world either, but Beverly Hills definitely the real world.
Such is the life, right? But thanks for joining me,
always.
And it's always great to have a good chat with you.
Likewise. Thanks.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, Cin Cin.